Hey! Welcome, everybody, to Electronic Gaming Mostly, the podcast. I'm the Night Terror. I'm here with the Gabller, and we may have a special guest if he wakes up from his nap in time.
It's my penis.
So what are we talking about today? There's not a whole lot in the
Game
of
Thrones world. And Dark Souls, I guess.
Yeah, I've been playing through Dark Souls 3 again, and man, is it better than Sekiro. It's unbelievable, really. I mean, it's not even close to being as frustrating. There's still those
like RPGs
areas. Yeah. Like the swamp area that I hate, when you're not wandering around aimlessly, it's actually not that big part of the game. But yeah. I did Archdragon Peak all by myself, co-op, and there's still one or two AZ areas, but I managed through sheer skill. I didn't get hit once. It was easy.
One could say Sekiro is similar in terms of learning it, but again, the problem with Sekiro is that there's no options. You're stuck with that style and that weapon throughout the whole game. You know, there are areas in Dark Souls where equipping a different weapon with a different moveset is a pretty good strategy.
Yeah, I've still been using my same 3 swords. I did the same build I did on my first playthrough. And I know that well, I did more dexterity first. Last time I built up strength, then dex. This time I did dex and strength. But it doesn't really matter. It's the same thing. And yeah, like you said yesterday, the Nameless King doesn't really work well for melee builds, but it only took me like 8 tries.
Well, for strength builds, pretty rough.
Well, I mean,
he's pretty hardcore.
I guess if you're doing pure strength and you're trying to heavy armor block your way through it, yeah, it can be pretty rough. But I mostly do dodging.
Muscle memory with the dodging and everything, but you know, if you're dexterity, you can dodge like 100 fucking times before you have to recover stamina.
Well, I think the thing I did that made it way easier than last time is, that fire breath that 2 shots you no matter what.
Yeah.
Like I could have went in there with like fire resist gear and tried to cheese my way through it, but I just started running away before. Like, cause I go and I look at a guide because I'm like, I gotta be missing something, right? And the only option really is to run away from it because he shoots fire right underneath him. And if you haven't played this boss, the problem is that the fire hits you and you fall down, and then it stun locks you, but it only needs to stun lock you once, because as soon as you get back up and hit by the fire again, you're dead. It's a 2-shot. So if you can't get out of it, the best you can hope for is that you get hit once, and you get hit late enough in the animation that you stand up after the fire's gone.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at all these strategies, and they're like, well, you have to look at the dragon, and when he bends his knee slightly and goes like he's going to kneel, that's when you start running, because and you want to run in the direction that his head was facing, because and I'm like, I can't even see the fucking dragon.
It's like
the camera.
People are like, watch for the guy in the audience to move. That's when he's going to use the ability.
No, and I mean that's fine. I'm sure that that's the that's the keyframe that you got to look for. Problem is, the fucking dragon is huge, and you're supposed to. I mean, it's really difficult to lock on because it's constantly locking onto the wrong shit.
You stared at his fucking knee the whole time?
No, so I just ran randomly. When I thought that it was going to happen, I just ran, and that worked.
I've done that fight so many times. I've never fucking looked at his knee twitch or some shit. Sometimes people just throw shit out of their ass. They're just like, oh, this is how I did it, Well, then what I did was I took like a handful of fucking Adderall, and then time slowed down, and I was able to see his toe twinkle a little bit. It's like, Jesus Christ.
But it's what we were talking about last time. Like that boss fight, 90% of the difficulty comes from not being able to see what the fuck is going on. Because the dragon's so big and you're constantly switching between locking on and not locking on. And the camera's just awkward.
The dragon phase is super quick.
Well, I mean, if you do it right, but sometimes he never like lets you attack him. He's just always in the air, or hopping around, or throwing
Yeah, you
fire.
get the randoms like that, and I think that's one of the big frustrating parts too.
But actually, fighting the Nameless King in Phase 2 really isn't that bad. I mean, the first time I got to that phase, I got him to a sliver of health, and I just got greedy because I thought I can kill him in 2 hits. Turns out it was 3 hits, but I was only 2 hits, so I died. And then I beat him the second time, and that was like 8 attempts. So 7 failed attempts against, or no, 6 failed attempts against the dragon. Only 1 failed attempt against the Nameless King, and that's the hardest fight in the game apparently. That or Sullivan maybe. A lot of people have trouble with dancers too. I've never really had trouble with dancers. I don't know
Well,
why.
it depends on your build, man. I mean, I've had bosses that were chumps, and then I go in with a different build the next time around, and they're difficult.
Yeah,
That's what's great about Dark Souls, though, as opposed to Sekiro that we talked about. Like, you can change up your build. You can respec. Like, if you're having a really hard time, you can just, you know.
yeah. And I actually had someone. We talked about this last stream, and it happened yesterday. I'm sitting there, and someone came in and mentioned, they wanted to talk Dark Souls, Sekiro, or something. Probably the third thing they said. Sekiro's easy, to be honest. Like,
Well, it's not about it being
good for
difficult.
you.
It's about it being monotonous and tedious. The game is not difficult. It's just fucking tedious. It's not difficult to sit there and throw your fucking face against a brick wall for an hour to figure out how to get over it. It's tedious. In Dark Souls, you don't just go to the boss and then I have to learn every fucking move that this boss does. You can take hits in Dark Souls. You can fuck up in Dark Souls and still beat a boss. You don't have to perfectly play it. In fucking Sekiro, you have to be almost damn near perfect. You have to learn every fucking move that a boss does, and it's fucking annoying. It's tedious. There's no
Yeah.
difficulty to it. Once you learn the pattern, it's not even a fucking challenge anymore. So people that want a challenge are full of fucking shit. You go through Dark Souls, I don't care how fucking good you are, you're still gonna get hit sometimes because just sometimes enemies are super fucking unpredictable. That doesn't happen in Sekiro. Once you learn an enemy's pattern, that fucking enemy is no problem to the whole fucking area. You just easily dispatch them. And it becomes just this monotonous fucking thing where I gotta get through this fucking area with these fucking enemies.
Yeah, I'm gonna go through the whole thing like last time, but there's that one enemy at the end that you gotta smash your face against, but you gotta make it through an hour's worth of other bullshit. That's no problem at all.
There's also no real fucking like progression. You don't get a sense of progression like you do in Dark Souls. I mean, every time you go through an area, you come back and you fucking get a couple levels, and it makes you immediately stronger, and you feel that. You can see it in a numerical value as well. You put 1 point in strength, you see your weapon do more damage. It doesn't exist like that in Sekiro. Sekiro is like every quarter of the way through this fucking you got to clear 4 fucking areas before you can get health increase.
Yeah, and they do the same thing in Sekiro that they do in Dark Souls with like you're supposed to buff your shit or use items that make things easier. Not just your tools, but like, shit that drops. And the thing is like I don't really do that. And I might be gimping myself in Dark Souls, but I just can't be bothered to go in like I'm gonna buff my fucking sword. I never do. I don't even do that in The Witcher. That's why I play Witcher on easy, because on normal mode you're supposed to go in there and like do some investigation, see what kind of monster it is, look up what the monster's weaknesses are, get the ingredients for some kind of potion that makes you resistant to its damage, and you do more damage to the monster. Then you're supposed to go in there and fight them. But like, I don't want to do that. I don't like crafting and making potions and shit, so I just play on easy. Because on easy mode, you don't need to do that. Like, you can still go and look at the lore and figure out what you're fighting and be like, oh, that's cool, but you don't have to dick around. Like, the game's long enough. I don't need more fucking padding. So, I just want to go in there and fight people with swords. Same thing as Dark Souls. And the thing is I can do it. In Sekiro, I mean, I guess you can do it, but it hurts a lot more. Anyway.
It's an okay game, but it's not good. It's
I just don't know. Like, I never get the feeling like,
It's a downhill from Dark Souls.
man, I
We're
could
talking
really go
about
for some Sekiro.
Like,
But yeah, Dark Souls has been fun aside from the shitty PvP.
the forced PvP is obnoxious. It really makes no sense either. Like
Like,
there's already
if the
plenty
connection,
of that in the game.
well, I mean, if the connection was good and people would come in and, you know, have some sense of honor, like, hey, we're not going to use Estus, we're just going to fight to the death, and then that'll be it. But it's not. They come in, they do some fucking cheesy build, they run away, they try to bait you into the enemies, they're constantly healing up. And that's the worst part, is they're constantly running away. Once you start getting some good damage on them, they just run and heal. And granted, you could do the same thing, but like, all that turns into is like, if you want a PvP, I'm sure that's fine. But if you don't, it's just me and you standing there staring at this other fucking guy who just invaded us. Like, you gonna do something? Like, it could take an extra half an hour to an hour just to progress through a fucking area because you keep getting invaded. That's not what we're fucking there for, you know?
And there's people out there that are going to say, well, that's part of Dark Souls. Well, firstly, no, it isn't, because they already put NPCs that create this situation in the game. Like, I understand that to the lore aspect of the game, that is a thing, but those already exist in the form of NPCs. You can play the whole game logged out. The problem that I have is the PvP is trash because most of the time there's an amount of desync that would never be acceptable in any other game ever. Every game that comes out, this kind of desync would never go play Overwatch with that kind of fucking desync. Give me a fucking break. Nobody would be okay with that.
It's
Nobody
honestly
would be okay with
the
playing
equivalent.
Counter-Strike with that.
It's like the equivalent of probably 1,000 millisecond latency. Like, it's a 1 second latency or more. Like, there are times when people with the broadsword, just a straight up broadsword, which is shorter than a longsword, and they're outranging me when I'm using an ultra great sword. I mean, they're not really outranging me, but the latency is so bad.
I could clip shit from the other day of us playing where we're PvPing with people and they're hitting me from, I shit you not, like 10 to 15 feet away. I'm not even fucking close to them. And they're swinging at the air and I'm thinking, what the fuck are they doing? And then I lose health. That's literally what's fucking happening.
Yeah, okay? It's pretty terrible.
It's fucking trash. You swing on a guy and it looks like he just rolls after the hit and takes no damage. And it's so broken. It's so broken that the game will often either do no damage to you, but make the noise like you took damage.
Oh, that happens to me every single time I roll. Like,
it makes that happening.
And I see blood spurt out, no damage taken.
No damage because the game cannot keep up with that shit. It's trash because of that.
You're talking about a game
that the PvP is trash in the sense that the way the game plays. I'm saying the developers can't fucking do it. How many fucking games do we have? Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3. None of these have succeeded with the PvP. The 4 fucking games and they didn't get it right once. So fuck off with it already, okay? And if you want a PvP, I'm not saying take PvP out of the game. I'm saying forced fucking PvP. I'm talking about people invading your fucking game in certain areas without your fucking consent. It's fucking stupid. I don't want to do it because the latency is shit. If you want to put
for those of you out there saying
down after Pontiff, I don't give a fuck.
For those of you out there saying, you know, good, get good, we probably win 3/4 of the PvP encounter.
It's not about being good. It's about fucking latency. Okay, I don't play on Korean servers in StarCraft because I don't want to have to fucking pre-click shit 1 second ahead of time. It's fucking lame. I play the whole game with no fucking latency against monsters, and then I have to turn around and fucking play the game a different fucking way against people. Like,
yeah, that's also pretty rough.
Break. It's fucking stupid. Give me a break. If you want to put your red sign soapstone down somewhere and get summoned by some dick fag that wants to jerk off and play the game with a 1 second delay, go right the fuck ahead. I don't give a goddamn. But don't force me into that shit, especially because I'm trying to fucking co-op. Oh, you're co-oping? Well, you gotta fight this fucking final boss. And half the time it's somebody that doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. And you do some damage to them and they run away. And you can do nothing about them fucking running away because of the 1 second delay. Because of it. Or you go up against somebody that's got some cheese where they try to just poise right through your fucking attack and get 3 swings in on you and try to kill you. Or they have some bullshit like, I have this weapon to where if you do this, this happens, or you do this. It's so fucking lame. If you want a PvP, go PvP against people that want a fucking PvP. What are you fucking doing? It's like the people that are like, I'm here for a challenge. Well, what's up, skater, dude? Oh, I'm here for the challenge. Well, why don't you go over to that park over there where all the fucking hard shit's at? No, I'm going to skate right here in the mall parking lot. Okay. You're in people's way and shit, and you're kind of being a douchebag trying to grind this rail. Hey, can you guys move? I'm going to grind this rail. Go to the skate park, faggot. Where people that also skate are at.
I think that it's actually kind of satisfying in PvP because I have a PvP build, or not a PvE build, not a PvP build. And people probably come in, and if they know what they're doing, they're like, oh man, this guy is obviously decked out for PvE, not PvP. And then I whip out like the Dark Sword. And the Dark Sword used to be really OP in PvP, and then they patched it. So people probably look at that and say like, oh, this guy probably read on the internet that the Dark Sword was OP in PvP. No, not the case. It's just, I need a one-hander, and I like it. That's it. But I think we win a lot because people assume that we don't know what we're doing. And there's 2 of us.
Right. I mean, and sometimes you do get, very fucking rarely, you get people where the connection is fucking great, and they just get stomped. And yeah, I get it. It's 2v1. Well, fuck off. I'm trying to co-op with my friend. It's not like I set a fucking trap. It's not like I'm over here with my friend going, yeah, I can't wait to get invaded so we can 2v1 them. Go fucking put your red sign down, and maybe you won't get 2v1'd, you know?
Yeah.
It's fucking stupid. I've never found, there's no fucking reward for it. The rewards suck. The rewards for PvP suck.
There's you get like an Estus back and like 10 souls or something, right? I don't even know. Do you get souls for doing PvP?
I don't know or care. Like, if you get souls, there's no way it's anything close.
Not for the amount of time it fucking takes to do it.
Of course not. And when you invade people, you get the same kind of thing where people are just running away and shit. It's fucking stupid. Okay, what do you get for pale tongues? Like, you get to respect hardly anything.
I mean, I did it because most of the armor makes you look fucking fat, so I made my character really skinny this time. Well, it turns out the armor I like to wear when you're skinny makes you look really fucking skinny. I looked really bad. So I went and changed my appearance with a pale tongue. But here's the thing, you can get 2 or more pale tongues just by picking them up. You don't even need to PvP for them.
Right.
So how many times are you going to respec? You know, like, I would expect that, like, if you fucked up your build, you would want to wait till you have more points before you respec. And you'd have to, like, seriously fuck up your build. It'd have to be, like, a conscious decision, like, hey, I'm melee, and now I want to go, fucking faith and look. You know, because each point it's not like, oh man, I put 2 more points into vitality instead of vigor. Let me respec that. No one's doing that.
Most people invade as red phantoms. You get the obscuring ring, which makes the wearer invisible to enemy players at long distance. It's so fucking stupid. Like,
yeah, the dumbest
fucking thing. And then you get the man.
Oh, I can't get shot with a fucking arrow.
You get the man grub staff, and I don't know anybody that's ever said the man grub staff is the best staff in the game. Like, it's fucking trash. It's a +5. At +5 with 99 luck, you get a spell buff of 244. That's fucking garbage. It's a fucking luck staff. It's so fucking dumb.
Yeah, I don't know why people still do it.
On PvP. I don't get what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah, it makes no sense. I mean, I get if you want to go somewhere and do PvP. I mean, personally, not for me. I don't know why you would deal with the latency and basically getting nothing for it. But I mean, if you played this game more than we have, right? Like there are probably people who put thousands of hours into this game. If there's nothing left to do, yeah, go in PvP with all the other people who have nothing left to do. But like, why the fuck are you going and invading low levels?
Well, fuck these people. And if anybody out there, for all of you guys out there that are like fucking defending this stupid practice of invading people that are just trying to play the fucking game instead of putting your soapstone down after Pontiff or some shit to fight people that actually want to PvP, you're a fucking loser, okay? Straight up, I don't care. I don't give a fuck about you. You're a fucking pathetic piece of shit, all right? You're it's like fucking... It's like going to a playground with fucking kids and trying to fight kids. Yeah, man, they need to learn a lesson. They need to learn it. Like,
what's the
Jesus
lesson? Well, the lesson is if you just want to make it through the game, I'm going to knock you the fuck out. Like, come on. Fucking stop trying to ruin people's day. The game ruins people's day enough on its own. It doesn't need you.
Yeah, it's not about you, okay? Grow the fuck up. Like, you are nobody. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just
asshole
so fucking dumb.
Has no name.
It's just so dumb.
Oh, by the way, why is it that being the Night Terror and putting that as my name in Dark Souls 3, that NIG gets like censored for you, but then when someone comes in and his name is something Nigel, I can see that.
Because fucking people are stupid. Like this was being talked about recently on live stream fails on Twitch. On Twitch live stream fails on Reddit. Like there are words in certain languages that sound like the big dreaded spooky word. And it's fucking ridiculous because they're like common words. Like if you look it up in Chinese, word for that, or this rather, Chinese word for this, or some shit like that. It sounds pretty close to the word, you know? And in Korean, the phrase like I'll do it or I'll do it for you or something like that sounds a lot like the dreaded word. And you know, you got Twitch who just recently banned people, or some fucking guy who had an accent, for saying idiot, but he's like upset and stumbling on his words a little bit. So it like, because of his accent, it sounds like there's a little bit of right before the idiot. And some people can swear they hear a G in there. So you got people like, this is some fucking stupid ass Yanny Laurel shit where people are like, I heard the N word. And these people are like, you're fucking stupid if you don't hear idiot. And he clearly says idiot, but he gets banned. Twitch straight up bans him. And then 2 days rescinds the ban, like, oh, sorry, my bad. Well, too fucking late, don't you think? Like, you're causing serious damage to streamers. You're fucking Twitch. You understand how this process works. If a streamer misses a couple days streaming, they take a sub loss. Like, this is serious shit and needs to stop being played around with. And some of you fucking assholes that have a lot of money on Twitch need to start suing these motherfuckers, because, yeah, they may be the ones that give you the money technically, but they're also fucking with your livelihood. Stop being pussies and go after that shit, because we're getting really fucking stupid over shit when you can't even have the word night in a goddamn RPG game because it sounds like nig. And I've never called or heard anybody call a black person nig in my life. In my life. So much so that I'm willing to fucking say it right now, because it ain't the word, my dude. It's not the fucking word. Jesus Christ. It's like faggot.
But you can say Nigel.
Like, it's fag and faggot. It's the same thing. No, it's not. Like,
that doesn't even mean the same thing in gaming that it means, you know, in its intended
of course
usage.
Not. It's like the Louis C.K. joke. Put the dick back in your mouth, faggot. people from Phoenix are Phoenicians. What a shut up, faggot. Suck that dick. God, man, it's so fucking stupid.
I think it was Chris Rock who was actually talking about the word faggot. No, he goes. So he was saying this. It was some stand-up special. He's like, when I say faggot, I don't mean gay people. Got no hatred towards gay people, but here's an example. You're sitting at a green light, or you're sitting at a red light, and you're behind someone, and you look at them, and they're sitting there, and they're like singing along to the music, right? And then the light turns green, and they're not moving, and they're sitting there, and they're still singing along to the music and looking at their phone and everything. That's when you lean out the window and like, go, faggot! I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with gay people. I mean, I know historically it does, but in gaming and shit, it's not what there's... I don't know. If you're if you're a gamer, you get it. If you're not, then you never will.
It's such bullshit. I don't give a fuck. Even like the real world, like even just the fucking word in the form of calling a gay person a faggot. You know what? I mean, I agree with what you're saying, and we all know that's fucking true. But even when it comes to actually calling a gay person a faggot, like, shut the fuck up. It is so goddamn condescending to sit here and be like, gay people need to be protected. They're so weak-minded and weak-willed that they need to be protected from words. Black people are so, oh my God, let me be the white person that coddles the black people. I'm going to protect them. I'm here to protect you. Let me stand in front of the bullet that is the N-word. Like, shut the fuck up. Okay. They're
making it worse. Like, every time you take a situation like that idiot thing on Twitch and blow it up and write articles about it, technically you're offending more people than that original thing ever did. So you're really just making the whole situation worse. If what you really care about is people's feelings and not virtue signaling, you're making it worse.
Rule number one of the internet is don't feed the fucking trolls. Rule number two is don't be a faggot. Okay? Stop being a faggot by propping up words like faggot and shit like that and making them these giant fucking super words that can kill people. Some people, if you call somebody a faggot, they might go commit suicide. Oh man, they might. Let's just live in the world of mights. You know, I notice a lot of people that are into the virtue signaling and shit. These type of people are all about might. Well, if we get a voter ID, might not have a lot of black people voting. What are you talking about? What are you saying?
Sounds like a racist statement to me.
It's very condescending. And once again, black people aren't capable of going to the DMV. I mean, they already have fucking licenses in the first place to drive. They can't afford it. Most black people can't afford it. Bull fucking shit. They get a driver's license, okay? It's already there. Dude, they own cars.
You need a fucking ID to trade in a video game at GameStop. I don't think it's unreasonable to fucking need an ID to vote.
Okay? What are these people fucking talking about? Even if you look at like the community of, if you want to talk about like the thug community or gangster community, they own cars. Okay? This isn't some fucking game. This is like this. Welcome to real life. There is actual statistical data on all of this shit because these questions are asked. And now you have shit where it's like, they're going to change. They're going to put a question on the census whether or not you're a citizen. Oh my God. And what are the same people that are into virtue saying? Well, that might lead to Hispanic people not saying the question. What the fuck are you talking about? Might. We live in a clown world of maybe and might. Oh, if we get socialism in the United States, maybe it'll be done right this time because socialism was never done right ever. Ever in the history of the world, socialism has never been.
I'm calling it now. Someone's gonna make a nickname for Bernie Sanders. Someone's gonna make a nickname for Bernie Sanders, and it's gonna be, here it is. Ready? Prediction: the Vermonster.
The Vermonts.
Yeah, like the fucking Ben and Jerry's 50 scoop thing. Yeah, the Vermonster.
Oh man,
you heard it here first.
Bernie Sanders is going to get cheated by the DNC again, and his voter base is not going to go for it. And that's how the Democrats are going to lose again. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. If you look, that's how elections work, people. Okay. It has nothing to do with the candidate. It's about playing the fucking game. That's how it works. If you go back through every election, notice
Win
that the ones
or you die.
the ones where they win are the ones where they have no split in the party. Look at Mitt Romney. Why did Mitt Romney lose? Is because Mitt Romney was worse a candidate than Obama? No, it has nothing to do with that. It was because Ron Paul ran against Mitt Romney and his base felt like they were cheated, so they didn't fucking support Mitt Romney. It's just the fucking way it works. Jesus Christ.
I mean, it's the classic Ross Perot situation from like 1990, right?
That's right.
Like he ran as an independent, got like 19% of the vote, something like that, something ridiculous for an independent, just enough to take it away from.
And usually it's one party. Usually it's one side that supports those guys because their views line up more relative to that party. That's just the fucking way it is, man. And look how many candidates you have. So you're going to have the problem is politicians are so fucking fake. That's the real problem. That's the core of the problem. So they sit here, and if you go back to the Republican process during 2016, just watch how Trump and Ted Cruz treat each other. And then at the end, they do this shit where it's like, well, I've lost, so I'm going to support Donald Trump as the next president. But his base,
can you imagine if someone comes out and says,
I lost. Do that.
Fuck Donald Trump.
his base doesn't do that. Some of his base might do that because they're more interested in, their party winning. But most of his base, this is where the never Trumpers come from. The people like Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro was a Ted Cruz guy. This is why Ben Shapiro still talks shit about Trump and doesn't really like Trump. He pats himself on the back. He pats himself in the back whenever the Republicans win because he's more concerned with Republicans getting wins than he is Donald Trump. But he'd love to have Ted Cruz there instead. But there's a lot of people that are worse than Ben Shapiro. I was going to make a rat joke. Goddamn.
Don't do it.
I'm not gonna do it.
We don't need another Dash.
Listen, Dash. You fucking ruined me now. God damn it. I can't play Dark Souls without thinking about it. So, listen. Yeah, I like Ben Shapiro when he talks about certain things, but in terms of politics, he's kind of scummy about it, just like a lot of never Trumpers.
Well, I just want to put this out there because this is like three podcasts in a row.
Like, whatever.
This is like 3 podcasts in a row where we mentioned Ben Shapiro. The only reason I mention him so much is because I'm in a fucking office all day and I listen to podcasts. And very few podcasts are consistent where they upload an hour's worth of content every single day, and one of them is Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, so, man, I listen to Joe Rogan. I listen to his dumbass.
Well, I listen to Joe Rogan when he's interviewing someone interesting.
Are great. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to listen when he's got some kind of SJW on or some shit.
Well, not even that. Like, he does a lot of like MMA stuff. Has like MMA. I don't watch MMA.
I can't do the MMA stuff. Yeah. Back to what I'm saying. Listen. So the base doesn't follow. The politician does it because that's their fucking game. That's what they do. Bernie Sanders spent the whole time saying Hillary Clinton was unfit to be president, and then he gave his fucking donation money to her and supported her because he's a fucking slimy, two-faced piece of shit like the rest of the politicians. They're no fucking different. Ted Cruz is the same fucking way. They don't fucking care. They just want to be elected. They just want to make the money. That's the fucking point. Okay? And the base doesn't perform like that. They don't think like that because they're not getting money. They're not being put in a position. They're not potentially being brought into as a cabinet member. They don't give a fuck about that. So the base, some of them will go, but most of them will stick behind and be like, no, fuck that. I remember the shit that this piece of shit was saying.
And a lot of people have a pretty short fucking memory when it comes to what politicians say.
So, when Bernie Sanders is talking all this shit about Hillary, it's no fucking question that the Bernie Sanders supporters are going to be like, fuck that. I'm not voting Hillary. She's a fucking piece of shit. She's trash. That's how it works. So when you have 20 fucking people running for the Democratic ticket, you're going to have so many disenfranchised voters. So many of them that are just because they're going to eat each other. Like right now, they're kind of like cutesily playing along right now, right? Like all of them are saying the same thing. Donald Trump, we got to get Donald Trump, but they got to start fighting each other. They have to start because the whole point is because they're going for a nomination. And you're not even running against Trump yet. You're running against these other people. Bernie Sanders is the only one right now, by the way, that's like taking shots at the rest of them. The rest of them are just like, yeah, we all got to get Donald Trump. Like, what are you all going to get fucking elected?
Yeah, we're going to convert to an oligarchy, and there's going to be 8 co-presidents.
Like, you better start fighting against each other or you're going to be screwed. Like, that's just how it works, man. You have to get the base behind you first.
So, yeah, PvP in Dark Souls is for faggots. That's the moral of the story, I guess.
Yeah, and don't trust the fucking politician.
I mean, I'm not even very good in social situations or reading people, but even for me, I look at 99% of politicians like, man, they are so fucking fake. I don't know how people don't see it.
It's a fucking... It's
Look, I can be a politician.
Their fucking job is to be reelected. That's it. It's like having to get you. It's like, imagine you had to go to your job and every 2 to 4 years you had to fucking re-up the job against other people. Like, that's literally what it is.
Well, I mean, go ahead. Ask me a political question.
Why do you sound like you're in a tin can right now?
That's not a political question.
Okay, now it's fine. I don't know what you did.
Nothing. Probably Discord.
Well, the problem with politics is that what about gay rights?
No, I want to prove a point here.
Gay rights.
I can be a politician. Ask me a political question.
Like what?
Anything. Doesn't even matter. Something.
Something
that a reporter would ask. Someone in front of a microphone. Yeah.
Sure about that? Excuse me. What was that comment you said the other day about somebody with a dick in their ass?
I don't specifically remember that comment, but what I do think is that's a conversation we should have.
I get what you're saying. And you're right. And here's the problem. Here's the other problem with politicians and why they're fucking slimy. They don't want to solve problems. Barack Obama was like a fucking homosexual ally. Remember, that was like a thing. And I'm not saying that's bad. Yeah. He was all about doing stuff for gay people and gay rights, right? That was the whole thing. And then he didn't. The Supreme Court did it. He could have
anything that happens under a president's watch is the president's, another notch on their belt, apparently. I don't think people really understand that being a president isn't like being an absolute dictator. Like, they don't really have a whole lot that they can do on their own. You can try to cheese the system, right, and make executive orders, but
yeah, I can't listen. Let me tell you something. Whenever gay marriage got passed by the fucking Supreme Court, which is illegitimate, by the way, the Supreme Court has no power to do that. They don't make laws. Okay, the only thing they can do is interpret law. That's the way problem. The way that works is if the way Roe versus Wade works, as an example, because everybody knows what the fuck that is. The way that shit works is, if you come at me if I try to get an abortion with me and my wife or something, and a doctor does it, and then the state tries to come after me on that, I could take that to the Supreme Court and win. And I'll fucking win. So you might as well not even fucking come at me.
It's all about precedent. They don't actually write laws, but precedent. They're supposed to interpret the law and take each case on a case-by-case basis. That's why it's called a case-by-case basis, funnily enough.
Right. Yeah.
But then after that's been settled, every case that comes after it for the same thing, there's a precedent set. They can't say that, like, oh, well, this person was convicted for this one time, but this time we're going to let him go. They set a precedent. So it's not written anywhere that it's a law, but it sets a precedent. Yeah. And that's where it's kind of bullshit, because it very rarely gets revisited. Right?
But let me promise you that politicians hated when that happened. Why? Because now they can't use gay marriage on their platform. They don't want problems solved. Obama didn't legalize weed either. Why? All the executive orders he signed, and he didn't sign one to legalize medical marijuana countrywide. Why? Because they don't want to. If problems are solved, there's no purpose for politicians. No fucking purpose at all. There has to be serious problems that can be solved. There has to be. All the fucking time. always and forever, there has to be serious problems. And when you start solving those problems go away and you have to think of new problems. And if there are no problems, there's no reason for government. And then the government gets shrunk down. That's the way it works. If our country was perfect right now, if we had everything and there were no problems, no rights issues, nothing like that. If everything was perfect and nobody had any problems, every issue for the government when it comes election time is taxes and lowering the size of the government. That's all that's going to happen. That means less jobs in the government, less places for these fucking politicians to swing around to, and more importantly, less money for them to pocket. Because you better fucking believe that's what happens. Money gets pocketed. Oh, $3 billion for education, and then you're in charge of receiving the money for your state, and like, hey, here's the money for mayor of this town. Here's the money for your school in your town. Oh, okay. Let's have that distributed. By the way, make sure you pocket 50. What is that? We have 3 million for it. Make sure you pocket 50,000 of that. Nobody's gonna fucking. Why do you think they don't want to be audited? You know, people have been talking about audit the Fed for 10 fucking years now. Why do you think it hasn't happened? And there's so much pushback against something as simple as auditing the federal government. Because then you're going to know who's taking money. Because then it's going to come up, wait a minute, the budget was $3 million for schools for this year, but these schools didn't receive that.
No, I mean, but like, there's nothing anyone can even do about it. Like, so even if they get caught red-handed, it's like, oh yeah, you caught us.
Right.
Moving on.
Well, no, it wouldn't happen like that. I mean, I disagree. I think that changes the tone to some degree. Yes, certainly people don't go to jail like they should. These politicians don't go to prison. It's like fucking celebrities. They kill somebody and then they do like 2 years in prison or some shit and have to do like a drunk driving PSA. But at the same time, stuff happens. Things change definitely in the community. I think that is a real thing. This is why they hate Trump. I don't care what you fucking think. You should grab him by the pussy. Don't give a fuck. Don't give a fuck. I don't care how he fucking talks. I don't care because I didn't elect him to talk. It's like I got people coming to fix my fucking floor. Okay. I got some shit to do with my floor and I got people that I'm going to pay to come do it. I don't give a fuck how they talk. I don't give a fuck if they talk about sucking each other's dick after work. Okay. I don't give a goddamn. The only thing I care about is if they do the fucking job up to my standard. That's all I care about. When I hire somebody to do a job, that's all I fucking care about. Do the job up to my fucking standard. I don't give a fuck how you talk, how you look, what you've done in the past. I don't give a goddamn. They could be KKK members for all I fucking care. I don't give a fuck. Do your job. That's all you're there for. Do your job and go home and never fucking talk to me again. That's it. That's what I want Trump to do. Do your fucking job. Then get the fuck out of my face. I don't want to see George Bush anymore. I don't want to hear shit from George Bush or Barack Obama or Bill Clinton. You did your job. Go home. Take your millions that we give you and go fucking home. Shut the fuck up. You did your shit. Go away.
You okay today?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Sound like you're a little more on edge than usual.
I'm so fucking hyped for Game of Thrones. Give me a break. I'm so fucking, today is a
Shut
great
your fucking mouth and get the fuck out of my fucking face, you fuck.
I just want people to understand. Stop putting politicians up on pedestals. They're not better than you. They are you. It's the representation of the people. If that doesn't represent me, then shut the fuck up until you get one in office. Okay? Jesus Christ. I'm embarrassed by your picks. How about that? Fucking Joe Biden. Give me a break. Joe Biden, what's he qualified for? Well, he was with Obama.
He got like a C average in law school.
Obama handpicked him. Oh, so it's not change anymore. It's back to that. What are you advocating for? Maybe you hate Trump and you're listening to this podcast right now and you don't like what I'm saying. Are you fucking really ignoring the economy? Are you really ignoring a 4.3% GDP growth last year? And now we're back up to a 3.2 at the beginning of this year. Are you really ignoring that? Are you really ignoring the statistically and CNN, all these other fucking left leaning places will report this shit all the time. lowest unemployment ever since it's been recorded. Are you really ignoring that because he fucking says shit you don't like? Seriously. Are we
He's
really
mean to people?
Lowest black unemployment of all time?
But he's a racist.
And you're fucking ignoring that because Russia? Jesus fucking
Russia.
Christ.
What about Russia?
Jesus Christ. Get a fucking life, man. Get serious. He's doing a job and doing a pretty good.
Anyone,
Maybe you don't
even
like
a child,
that he's doing
even
Republican things. Fine.
Even a child can look at the news and be like, "This sounds like bullshit." I know because I was that child. That's why I never fucking watched mainstream media, even as a kid, before the internet was a thing.
Listen, I'm okay if you don't like certain policies he's doing, but you can't not like the fucking economy. That's both sides, man. That's not a partisan issue. The economy, unemployment, what?
How can you not be in favor of getting a bigger paycheck? You know, like when you look at how much they take out in taxes between Social Security and taxes and everything, it's like between a quarter and a third of your paycheck. I mean, that's a big fucking chunk. My gross pay is like $1,200, and between taxes and insurance, I only see like $850 out of it. Fucking bullshit, man. So yeah, it might sound good when they're like, "Hey, we're gonna pay off your student loans. Hey, we're gonna do this and that, and you know, it doesn't matter what it costs." Well, it's gonna matter when your gross pay is $1,200 and what you actually take home is like $100. It's not gonna feel so great.
When you get a tax cut, you don't get a bigger check at the end of the fucking year from the government. It's the opposite of that because you paid less taxes. Okay, the check you get at the end of the year from the government is because you paid. It's not their money. It's your fucking money. It's money that you were supposed to get throughout the year.
I mean, you realize this country went to war over like a 2-cent tax on tea, right? Now you're getting paid, they're taking taxes out. You buy anything, they're taking taxes out. You own a home, they're taking taxes out. You own a car, they're taking taxes out.
You're talking about the same motherfuckers that expect you to figure out what the number you owe them is. But if you make a mistake, they know how fucking much you owe them. So they're doing the fucking math, okay? But they're like, fuck you, I'm not going to send you the math.
Yeah.
It's literally what you're dealing with, okay? Don't fucking, like, less government is better, my dudes. Let's move on to Game of Thrones. Sorry for the politics. I can take the politics!
Oh, my blood pressure's been raised. It fills you with a righteous fury, doesn't it? Like, man.
It really does.
I would really like to, be able to change something, but government's too big.
But I'll be a political prisoner.
All right. So, I mean, how many episodes have gone by since the last podcast? 2, right? And tonight's the 3rd?
Yeah, 2 episodes.
All right. So you're probably better at coherently forming a thought. So why don't you sum up the first 2 episodes?
I think maybe we did the first episode. Yeah.
No, we did predictions, but the first episode was that night. Second episode was last week, but it was Easter, so we didn't do the podcast.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah. Well, really doing a recap?
Well, just a quick one. I mean, the high points. It should be short.
Oh, my God. Well, everybody got to Winterfell. For some reason, Daenerys Targaryen was being a complete bitch about it and talking about the Iron Throne constantly when she could have just shut the fuck up and waited the whole, undead thing. Hey, undead are coming and you've seen them and they're serious. Yeah, but I want my Iron Throne. Okay, well, we kind of like the idea of not being ruled by people, but there's this John's just outside going, "Hey, you two fucks talking in there." Yeah, there's literally people that were dead are walking around now.
I mean, I just don't get why Yario is like, "Hey, we want the Iron Islands want to be free." Okay, you got it, right? And then she goes to the North, and it's like, "Hey, the North wants to be free." No, fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you. No, the North is mine. I love this snow. Love all this fucking nothingness in the snow. It's not even the grain belt. Whatever. It's kind of out of character, but
I don't know. I hope that they're not, because everyone like she has a lot of fans, and I hope that they're not like trying to get people. They're not trying to get people to kind of turn on her and be like, "Wow, she's kind of a bitch and she's power hungry," just so they can kill her off.
Writers make mistakes, and they're making that mistake where she's supposedly like, "Oh, it's been her goal this whole time." You know, I've seen great writers make these mistakes, and it's a small mistake that's easy to make. Like, what you sit back at the end of the game and you're like, what is the goal, the main goal? Let's remember what the main goal of this character is, but then they forget about shit. Like, this character, this isn't her main goal is not the Iron Throne. I'm sorry. All you people out there defending it, I'm sorry, it's not. You have a character who was a nobody, who was like a dainty little fucking girl being stripped down and having no control over it, being fucking raped by a horseman, and then, you know, falls in love with him and kind of wrests control of him and takes control of her own destiny. Her main goal is to get an army and sail across the ocean with her Dothraki and her army and get her throne back. She gets the Dothraki army, she gets the Unsullied, and then she's offered by the people of Meereen ships. She's offered ships to sail across the ocean and leave Essos and go to Westeros for good. She declines it. Why does she decline it? Because she wants to help the people of Meereen. She wants to rule Meereen as a queen and help them. And that's what she does. She stays there for an entire season ruling Meereen to help those people. And then suddenly she goes to Westeros and she's like, yeah, I want the Iron Throne. I'm here just for the throne. 100%. That's my main goal. Well,
it's fucked up that like Tyrion asked her, like, what happens after? What happens if you die? Who's the next in line? And she's like, we'll think about that later. Right, we got more important things to do. And then, like, an episode later, it's like, what happens after? Oh, I'm going to totally take the North. Bend the knee, bitch.
It's so weird. It's like a weird time to do it. You know, like when you're sitting on the throne, maybe you should do it. But right now you need allies. You don't have the throne. You have Dragonstone. That's what you have. Like, this whole idea that I'm going to go north with people that are already... She's been told constantly they don't take kindly to outsiders. They're not going to... Maybe wait until they like you for helping with your dragons and your army before you start sitting at the middle.
Well, I'm interested to see how everyone changes their fucking tune after they actually see the undead. Because, you know, they've kind of... It's happened before in the show where people are like, yeah, totally, the undead, we got this. And then they see them and they're like, oh, fuck me.
Listen, yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's bad. It's bad writing to have her do that. But at the same time, they're going to come around to her being that way. 100%. They're going to support her being that way. No question about it. Because as soon as they see undead, they're going to forget about that whole outsider thing. Like, please, with your dragon, help.
Yeah.
Please help with the dragon, lady.
So yeah, there's some tension there. People sit around the campfire and saying episode 2 is a lot of like, hey, get ready. This is going to be the last time you see characters interacting.
Episode 2 was fan service. That's really all it was. All these characters
good
together.
I mean, I enjoyed both the episodes. They were kind of slow, but they needed to happen. You needed all that character interaction after 500 and whatever days of no Game of Thrones. So, but now the real show begins. Last 4 episodes, hour and a half apiece. And tonight is the battle. Well, winter is going to come all over the North, in and around their face, chest, and head.
Here because we don't have any leaks, but some theories. We have theories.
Do we not? I mean, check Free Folk. It's been 10 minutes since we've checked.
There's definitely no leaks right now. What we do have, though, are some pretty good theories and things based off of supposed leaks. You know, you have supposed leaks, but you know, it's people that haven't been confirmed. It is usually these things.
Well, Well, let's just point out a few of the things that have led to some of the theories. One is that you haven't seen the Night King this season at all yet, or the dragon. Let's see. Bronn has been charged with killing Jaime and Tyrion by Cersei. Euron fucks Cersei. Nothing to do with anything really, but that happened. Thought you'd like to know. All the people who aren't capable of fighting or who are too valuable and also not good at fighting are all going to be in the Winterfell crypts. They mentioned in past seasons that there's hidden passages and shit so that the lords of Winterfell could escape if they need to. So a lot of people are saying that they're going to bring all the dead Starks back to life. And other people are saying that they're all going to escape through the crypts. Some people are saying that the Night King is just going to beeline it to King's Landing with his dragon, and Bronn is going to be the one who's going to put two and two together because he's presumably on the way to Winterfell with a crossbow. What else? Oh, Bran is going to be just chilling by the Godwood.
Well, let's go with one at a time. The Bronn thing, oh man, that is rough. I think that is your tension for after when. I think that's also kind of a spoiler from the show writers. Like, I mean, what is he going to get there and they're all going to be overrun by the dead, and then he's just going to be like, oh, I guess I'm fucking leaving. Like, that would be such a waste of time.
He was conflicted about taking that, so no one really knows what his intentions are.
I'm just talking about, like, from a show writing perspective. Is this character going to get to the north and see that the Night King has taken the north and just be like, well, fuck, I guess I have to leave and go back to King's Landing?
It's hard to tell with the time scale. Like, is he going to get there in the middle of the battle and help? Because there's no way that he's going to be like, man, how am I going to sneak past all these zombies so I can kill Jaime with a crossbow? Like, that's not going to happen.
No, I think Bronn is after Night King tension. I think that's the purpose there.
I also heard that something about season 5 being a big battle too. So, maybe that's King's Landing. So we get, the battle tonight, and we get the next episode that's like the aftermath and the setup for the 5th episode. The 5th episode is the climax. And episode 6 is like wrapping it all up.
I don't know, man.
This could be like the Empire Strikes Back of this season, right? Ends on a downer.
I think we need to wait and get to that at the end of the. Like, we're already talking about where the show might go. I have no fucking clue. I mean, there's possibilities, but at this point, there's no fucking way to know, like, where things are going to go. I think Bronn is going to be your tension, because you got to have. You can't just go, oh, the Night King's done. Whew, over with. All right, Cersei's in the south. No tension until we start fucking with them. I think you still need that tension, and I think a lot of that's going to come from Daenerys wanting to have the North and Sansa and the North not wanting that. I think you're going to have that still, and I think you're going to have Bronn being there, walking around, being all friendly, but the viewers knowing that he's been commanded to do that, right?
Yeah.
The thing about Bronn is, it's difficult because even as I think most people who are fans of Bronn are still even looking at that scene and going, come on, Bronn, don't fucking do it, right? Because this guy really just goes where the money's at. It's really, up until this point, he's shown no real loyalty. Now, I personally think this is a moment where they're going to make this character loyal. The reason why I say that is because George Martin has an interview you can watch on YouTube where he's talking about characters, and one of the characters he talks about, people were asking him questions like characters that he didn't intend to be anything, and one of those characters he talks about is Bronn, where how Bronn and this other guy are supposed to be just these characters that are moving with the Starks towards whatever the fuck it's called. I don't exactly remember the name of it. Aunt Lysa or whatever's fucking place.
Oh, the Vale?
Yeah, the Vale. They're going towards the Vale, and there's two guys there that are going to be the one that fights for Tyrion. And one of them ends up dying as he's riding, because he says he just these things kind of formulate as he goes. And one of the guys ends up dying in the ambush. And then Bronn is the one that lives. And Bronn was originally supposed to just be a character that just, did this fight for him. and then goes away. But as he kept writing the character, he became more interesting, and there were all these things that he could do with this character. Suddenly, this character was needed for Tyrion to get here or to go there.
It's kind of interesting because you got all these people who, up to that point, you know, like Ned Stark is like bound by honor, right? Like everyone's got some loyalty or honor or some code or some kind of unwritten rule you can't break, and Bronn's just like, fuck all that, right?
Right.
Like he fights that guy in season 1 in the heavy armor and shit, and Bronn's just like, I'm just gonna wear some leather and dance around this motherfucker.
Right.
So it's kind of a good metaphor for
you fight without honor. And then he looks at the dead guy and goes, he did.
Yeah. It's a good metaphor for kind of his entire personality.
And so that's a character that George, you know, didn't expect to be the way he is, but he started to like the character. So I don't think that Bronn is just going to be this villain at the end. I think the loyalty moment for Bronn is going to be a big character moment. I think he might actually show his hand at some point. And there'll be a lot of tension and build up, but I don't think he's ultimately going to pull the trigger.
Yeah, I don't see that happening either. It'd be a shitty way. If he ends up killing Tyrion or Jaime, it's a real fucking shitty way to go out after all this, you know?
Well, I don't think he's going to kill Tyrion and Jaime. Speculation.
Well, no, I don't think he will either.
Goes south and kills his sister. There's a lot of hints towards that. There's a lot of, even in the show, not just the book, there's a lot of, like, the prophecy they showed in the show. They have, for her, they have the multiple lines of Cersei saying, you know, he and I came into this world together. We'll leave this world together. I mean, it just makes sense that he would stab her in the belly right there on the throne as she's trying to burn everyone poetically again. And the mountain just fucking cleaves them or something.
Yeah, bet she kind of wishes that she hadn't spent all that fucking dragon fire shit or whatever. What was that green shit called?
Oh, they got more of it. They got a whole lot more of it.
Oh, well.
Wild
green fire. Yeah. That's going to come in handy. Fire.
Yeah, she's going to try to burn the whole city.
You think it's going to be like a mess
I
of
think
like
that's her ace
orange,
card.
green, and blue fire?
I think that's her ace card, and she doesn't even really realize the parallels that she's creating. I think she has the golden army, and then she's going to have, on the backup of that, I think she's going to have maybe Qyburn working on something to raise undead, and that'll be... So I think the Night King dies in episode 3. That's my theory. I think the Night King is defeated. But
why? Like, you haven't seen him. Like, why does he have any reason to even show his face? I mean, why doesn't he has no reason to move up from the back line?
Some people have said he's waiting for Jon and Daenerys to show themselves because he knows that the dragons are big threats to his army.
That's what I'm saying though. It's like he's presumably a leader, right? Like, he's not going to be on the front lines fighting. He's going to be sitting on a fucking horse in the back, chucking javelins at dragons.
According to Bran, he wants to kill Bran. That's like his MO. I mean,
why does he have to do it himself?
We don't know. We still don't know what his purpose is for that. I don't know. We still don't know how the magic works. Now, I'm presumably, if we're talking about the way magic works in Game of Thrones, presumably what the Night King really does is a form of warging into undead and controlling them all at the same time. And he's just got so much power that he can do it. Like, Bran has to warg into one being, and that's all he can do. You know, and really green seeing is really kind of him warging into the weirwood net and being able to see the past. It's really kind of what's going on. So all of that magic really kind of revolves around that one type of magic. And it makes sense that whenever a White Walker dies, all the other undead die, because the White Walker was literally controlling them through a form of warging, and they're just so powerful that they can do it kind of as a subconscious, slightly different type of magic. You know, that's why their eyes are blue, right?
I heard another theory that I haven't, validated it or anything, but it seemed interesting. But every time you see that, like, maelstrom symbol that they leave ever since, season 1, episode 1, it's had 7 prongs, right? Yeah, and the 7 is like kind of a number that keeps coming up, right? Like the 7 kingdoms. It's like the 7th, it's the 7th cycle or something, right?
Well, the gods of the children of the forest are 7. the number
Yeah.
7.
And you keep hearing about Daenerys like breaking the wheel, different kind of wheel, but basically the theory is that some cataclysm comes along at the end of every cycle and wipes the memory, right? That's why like no one really knows anything about the giants or the children or anything, right? It's like all these different races and stuff that have been around, and you see the remnants of them, but no one really knows what happened to them. And the theory is that when the Night King takes Last Hearth and he leaves Umber up on that fucking thing, like nailed in, that has 8 spokes instead of 7. It's the first time you see it with 8 spokes. So the idea is that he's coming to, wipe out everyone in this era and start the 8th cycle. And Daenerys is going to be the one to break the wheel, right? So, I don't know. Like I said, haven't validated it. I haven't counted the spokes. I haven't gone back and looked, but...
So it's a very difficult thing when it comes to the Night King, because we know so little about him. There's also the Night's King. Like, the Night's King is spelled the same way, but it's apostrophe S. Now, the Night's King is from the book, and he's a legendary figure known in the 7 kingdoms and among the free folk north of the wall. According to the legend, he was originally a lord commander of the Night's Watch who found in the haunted forest a cold woman, that's how it's written in the book, with bright blue eyes, which is seemingly a female White Walker. He took her to the other side of the wall and declared himself the Night's King. For 13 years, he ruled over the brothers of the Night's Watch, performing human sacrifices, and the free folk rallied under the banner of the king beyond the wall and marched against the Night Fort, which the Night's King had taken as his seat. And they defeated him with the aid of House Stark. This is why afterwards the castles on the wall were not allowed to have walls facing south, so that they could easily be retaken. So we have this character who perceivably has, now there's a lot more to that. That's a summary of it, but there's a lot more to that shit because, first of all, we've never seen a female White Walker in the show, but there's all these other things that he does throughout this entire process. That could, it could have some connection to the Night King, right? I mean, you have 2 characters in a book series that have very similar names. But at the same time, the Night King is like, we know so little about it. Like, we have a scene where he's being created, strapped to a weirwood tree.
Yeah,
and the children.
Why was he created? It doesn't really make sense. Like, if the first
So
men were the enemies of the children of the forest, why would they go and be like, hey, let's make them more powerful?
Well, he was made long ago. The first men were coming up and they were cutting down the forest and all of this shit. And the children panicked and they created the Night King by putting dragon glass into his chest with some kind of spell. And the ideal here was that this creature would destroy, because they made them weak to fire, and the children of the Force use fire. And the ideal was that the Night King would wipe out the men, and then the children would easily be able to wipe out the undead and the Night King. That was the goal. Unfortunately, it seems like Leaf, which is the name of the character, maybe didn't understand the spell. Maybe it was an old spell. I mean, these are the kind of things that you're probably not going to get any information on, right? Like, it could have been like an old spell where she didn't really know any. You get this a lot in these kind of things. People assume how a spell is going to go. Maybe they're too confident or something, and then it kind of backfires on them. It backfired on her to where their goal is what she wants, but at the same time, he also wants to just wipe out all the children. I guess the ideal was they would hide in the forest until this happened. But it turned out that the Night King was somehow immune to fire. Like, fire actually dissipates around him. I wouldn't be surprised if you have a moment where Daenerys burns him with fire and he just is standing there unaffected by it. like completely unfazed.
When do they establish that he's immune to fire?
Well, I mean, it's an assumption, but it's based off of him. Every time he's around fire, the fire recedes away from him. And by the way, everybody thinks he's going to be a Stark. I don't fucking know. I think it's
Bran the Builder, my dude.
I mean, it's possible, but I think.
Well, I would think that like if fire recedes away from him and he can't be burned, maybe he's a Targaryen.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It is possible.
He could ride a dragon.
You already have that happening. Like the Raven, the three-eyed Raven that gave his powers to Bran was a Targaryen. These people were prevalent back then.
Yeah, they've been fucking each other for a long time.
So the children of the forest and the kingdom of men, ironically, it gave them a common enemy, and they fought that common enemy together and created a truce from it, where the men would stay out in the plains and the children would stay in the forest, and that was their remembered thing. And the men actually adopted the children's gods and the weirwood trees and all this stuff, and they constructed the wall with magic and all this shit and whatever. And that's kind of how the legend goes. Now, this is thousands of years, by the way. He was created thousands of years before all this shit.
Was it like 8,000 years or something? It's like a crazy amount of time.
It's pretty crazy. He's only tried to invade once, and he didn't make it past the wall. Or the wall was raised afterward. So we don't know much about him. We know he can turn children into whites with just by touching them, and maybe there's some kind of magic there. Maybe he needs that spiral to happen. Maybe that's what the spiral is part of the magic. Maybe he's just obsessed with it because that's part. I don't know. Like the problem with the Night King, we've never heard him talk. We don't know if he's intelligent. I mean, obviously he's intelligent to some degree, but we don't know if he's like hyper intelligent or something and can, he has no purpose to talk. First of all, he's not around people to talk to them. So I'm glad they haven't made him talk, but it's also like you have to think like, is he just driven? Is he just driven by a purpose, or does he have an ultimate plan? I mean, we've heard Bran talk about he wants an everlasting night. Yeah, but what does he do there? Does he doesn't want the fucking Iron Throne. He doesn't give a fuck about that. What does he? What's his goal after he, once he completes his task? What happens to him? Where does he go? Like these are the kind of questions that lead to some degree, figuring out.
Well, presumably, according to that theory, he's basically there as a force to reset the cycle, right? If there is such a thing. So, I guess if that's the case, he would just head back up north for another couple thousand years and wait for shit to, flourish again.
Well, this is the thing with when you talk about fantasy worlds like this, and once you start getting up to these levels, you have to start considering things like gods and demigods and things like that. Like, where are the gods? Who are the gods? We hear a lot about Rolor, this god of fire. Where is this guy at? Is this actually a god? You start to have to start thinking about things like the cosmos and all this crazy shit that's never going to be answered in the series. So you're just gonna end at some point. There's gonna be a level of not understanding, because to explain certain things like these, sometimes you got to get really deep. And I don't think the show's going to do that. I think the show's going to pretty much give us what we already have. This show doesn't do a lot of exposition, so I don't see anyone sitting back, aside from a Bran vision, which, by the way, we could be seeing a vision of Catelyn Stark tonight, because the actress who plays her was like in an interview and talked about having a cameo appearance. And that fans would have to wait and see what that was about Monday. And of course, she's British, so the British see this shit Monday on their timeline. For them, it's Monday when it comes on.
Yeah.
So I seriously doubt she's going to be in the Night King's army, because she was stuffed away by the Freys as well. They didn't exactly send her body to the north, so it's very likely that it'll be a flashback. Now, I've heard a supposed leak / theory that Bran is going to warg into Viserion while the Night King's riding it, and he's going to cause it to fall to the ground or whatever. He's going to kind of start fighting back against the Night King a little bit in that way. That's how he's going to be fighting in this battle, is warging like that.
Yeah.
And that because he's at the Godswood, he's going to end up having a vision of Ned and Catelyn, and that's going to pull him out of it. But that'll be what's needed in order to dismount the Night King from Viserion. Which I can believe something like that. I don't know what vision he would have of Catelyn and Ned and why. Maybe it's a moment for Bran. Maybe seeing his mother and father talking about him or something will bring him a little bit back from the whole emotionless three-eyed raven who doesn't care if he lives or dies. So who knows how that'll go. I do think Theon dies protecting Bran. I think that's a nice circular thing for Theon. I don't see him. He's already he saved Sansa, and now he's going to protect Bran. He kind of was one of the catalysts for why everything's the way it is to some degree. Because if he wouldn't have tried to impress his people, Bran wouldn't have had to go north of the wall, and of course, Bran wouldn't be who he is, and they'd probably all lose. But
yep.
At the same time, I think he's going to die protecting Bran.
If Bran never went north of the wall, then the wall probably could have still held up against the Night King. So
that's true. True. Well, maybe, I don't know, because it was Daenerys taking her dragons north, right?
Yeah, but I thought that the only reason that the Night King can make it past the wall now is because he marked Bran, right?
No, he knows where Bran is now at all.
Well, yeah, but remember when he was talking to the original Three-Eyed Raven, and he was safe in that little cave, but when he got marked, he could enter the cave and kill everybody? Wasn't it kind of the same thing with the wall? The wall had the same magic to keep the White Walkers out, and then when Bran crossed the threshold, that kind of fucked it all up, like it did with the cave.
I don't know. My original theory was that he wants to burn down the Weirwoods, but I don't know that he burnt that one down. Maybe he just wants to kill Bran. I still think that Bran creates the Night King some way in history. And the Night King knows this and is trying to kill Bran to stop himself from being created.
Well, I don't know, man. It seems like it's a lot of fucking effort just to kill one fucking guy. Why raise an army? At least why raise an army that big? Why wait thousands of years stealing, fucking
that's just writing
wildly.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's like a subconscious thing. I think he has a directive that I think the magic that the children put in him kind of guides him like that. And it is a little bit autonomous.
Well, maybe it's just as simple as, they created him to kill humans, and that's what he wants to do still. It's just kill all humans.
Right, yeah. But at the same time, I think there's a part of him that wants to stop Bran. And that's where the interesting part of the story to me is right now is, what is Bran's connection to the Night King? Is it why was the guy that becomes the Night King out there in the first place? Why was he there? Was he just exploring and came across it and captured? Was he some kind of commander that was leading? Because this is before the wall even existed, this guy being created. Was it some kind of... it makes sense that Bran would try to warg into someone. Maybe not current Bran. Maybe, I could be going on.
The Bran can't really seem to warg into or anywhere near the Night King without him knowing and kicking him out of it, right? So maybe it's like Bran warging into past Bran, who wargs into past Bran, who wargs into past Bran, to put like levels of buffers so that he can try to mentally fight the Night King, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the idea, because we know all of these certain things that Bran doesn't really know. And it's really difficult because Bran doesn't refer to himself as Bran. He refers to himself as the three-eyed raven. But I don't think that means that he's all-knowing, because he still has visions where he learns things. We saw that.
Well, it's because he has the potential to know everything, but he has to look for it, right?
Right,
he has to.
Exactly.
He doesn't just omnisciently know shit.
I think he's definitely going to try to do something in the past when it comes to the Children of the Forest and the Night King. I think he's going to remember the Hodor, or maybe somebody's going to mention it to him or something. You know,
he did have a vision that he would fly.
Well, I don't know about that. That was the three-eyed raven that told him that he would fly. But I think that just means he's warging.
Did you see the meme of like just a bunch of ravens with like fucking rope strapped to Bran's wheelchair, just flying him across?
People keep saying shit like, who keeps wheeling Bran around and leaving him? Like, dude, it's a wheelchair. He can his arms work.
Yeah, right. It's not Stephen Hawking.
Jesus Christ, yeah, he's not Stephen Hawking. Like that's the most interesting part of this show right now is who is the Night King and where is it going? I really hope they establish him. I really hope this isn't just like, oh, the whole fucking thing's a battle and then Winterfell falls and that's the end of the episode. I want some kind of I want more context behind the Night King. I don't know that he'll die in this episode. My theory is, so here's the way it works to develop this theory. Let's see, we got episode 3, which is the battle. Then we have episode 4, 5, 6. Episode 6 is probably a closeout, right? Like similar to episode 2. Everybody that's alive is having moments together or whatever. I seriously doubt they're going to go episode 6, final episode, and then who's going to sit on the throne? Oh shit! Like that's the ending. Like, I seriously doubt it. I seriously think that episode 5 is really kind of the culmination of it all. I think that's the ending of it, and then episode 6 is, you know, just kind of working out the processes. Well,
I do think that the Iron Throne is going to get destroyed. So there's not even going to be a throne to sit on at the end. I think it's going to be like a group of people sitting down, whoever's left sitting down saying, hey, this hasn't fucking worked. We're going to do it differently now. Right?
I think that you're going to have a kind of council of the...
It's going to be whatever dragon's left over, taking a bunch of swords and forging it into like a fucking round table or some shit. Right?
I think you're going to have a representative for each kingdom, of each of the 7 kingdoms, and that's going to be what's in the Red Keep. I think that's how that goes. And I don't think Daenerys is going to be okay with that, so I don't think she's going to live, unfortunately.
I think she'll be okay with it if Jon's part of it too. If one of them, so. I mean, I think it's feasible that she dies.
I believe Sansa will be the warden of the North or whatever, not the warden, but the representative of the North. The lady in Winterfell, they keep calling her that. And I think Jon is going to be the Targaryen example. I really do. And I think that they're probably going to save what's her name down in the crypts, you know, the chick that was Oberyn's wife. And she'll be the representative.
Oh, yeah. Well, you never actually see her die. Well, apparently.
She doesn't die. Cersei,
yeah, she's alive.
Specifically keeps her alive.
Yeah.
Her daughter's probably dying. Like she
you think she's just insane by now, right? Her daughter's dead. Got to be by now, right?
Got to be, yeah.
You think they just open the door and it's like one torch and she's like in a corner all thin and like fucking shaking and it's just like a half rotted corpse sitting there.
Yeah, we'll have to see where that goes. I think Yara is...
Okay, so we didn't talk about this last week, but
Bronn gets
what about Clegane Bowl?
Okay, so here's my theory on the Hound. Beric Dondarrion in the book sacrifices his life to resurrect Catelyn Stark into Lady Stoneheart, and she goes around leading a group of bandits, killing Freys, hanging them by in trees and shit. And they call her Lady Stoneheart, and she looks terrible, and she's got like covers her throat so she can talk because it's been slit, and has a really raspy voice and all that shit. Very cool stuff that I was hoping they'd do, but they never got around to. Instead, Barrick lived in the show and went north and fought as a character that
By
in
the
the
way,
book doesn't exist.
the
So
dude who
I
plays
think,
Barrick has the best voice ever. I wish I
yeah.
had that dude's voice. Just listen.
So I think he's going to die in this battle. I think the purpose for Barrick is character growth for someone else, not for Barrick. For someone, there's no real character growth for Barrick. Barrick always shows up and gives a sermon and then leaves. Right? He's never character growing. He's already developed as a character. Like when he comes on scene, it seems like he already has the answer, and then it's fine. Like there's no conundrums for him or problem.
Well, I mean, he just doesn't care about the answer. He doesn't know why he's there, but he knows that there is, and he has faith that he has a purpose, and that's kind of it.
I think his purpose is for the Hound. I think his character growth, I think the Hound's character growth is part of Barrick. Like Barrick.
Well, it would make sense that he, the Hound was kind of created by fire. Right. And fears fire, and then is redeemed by fire at the end.
So the Hound was burned, and he's been afraid of fire his whole life. Now there's two segments. Number one, the Hound kills Barrick, fighting for control to see who gets to have Arya. Right? It's like a trial by combat. He fights Barrick and kills Barrick and watches Barrick get resurrected. Okay, so at that point, the Hound kind of maybe believes in this fucking magic.
Well, he does now. Since he saw that shit in the fire.
Yeah, he comes along Melisandre later on, and she has him look into the fire. Or no, it's not Melisandre. It's the other guy. Yeah, it's the other guy, Yellow Cloak or whatever. It's the guy that was rolling with Barrick.
Yeah.
It's just like Melisandre is, and he has him look into the fire, and he can actually see stuff. The Hound can see stuff because he's been touched by fire. Looks like Discord got red in my robot-y.
Yeah, you'd cut out for a second, but we didn't miss
it. Sorry. So he looks into the fire and he can see stuff just like a red priest can. And it makes sense because he's been touched by fire. It's almost like he's been chosen by Rolor, right? That's like the scar on. It's really one of those writing things where the scar on his face isn't a scar; it's a mark, right?
Yeah.
It's a mark by the god of fire as a chosen one. What if? George Martin talks about all these things, all these characters or ideas and concepts about prophecy and how they can be multiple characters. What if part of that is him as well? What if he's also one of those characters? I think that the Hound, we see in the trailer, the Hound freezes up when there's fire everywhere, and it looks like Barrick's yelling at him to fight, and he's just like up against the wall in fear. I think he dies. I think the Hound dies in this battle, and Barrick sacrifices his life to resurrect the Hound, doing the Lady Stoneheart moment on him because he's supposed to die. He's supposed to be dead and give his life to someone else. I think he gives his life, and it would be a nice little circular thing. He gives his life to resurrect the Hound, which in the beginning of the show, season 1, he's tasked by Ned Stark to go find the Hound who has run off. The Hound left, and he's tasked to go find the Hound. Or sorry, the Mountain. He's tasked to go bring the Mountain in for doing these injustices to people. And then he finds the Hound later on and convicts him and tries to kill him, but dies himself. I think he's going to die, and Barrick is going to resurrect him, giving his life, and it's going to change the Hound, and the Hound is going to.
Why'd you do that, you cunt?
No, I think it's going to change him completely. I think it's going to change him because the Hound's been kind of going towards the Red Priest kind of thing. He's a strong warrior, and I think he'll pick up the flaming sword. I think he'll pick up the flaming sword, and it'll ignite, and he'll fight he'll start fighting right there, and he'll never be afraid of fire again. Because if something like when he dies, like the warmth of the fire, like it's not that bad or something, like he's not afraid anymore. I think that's gonna happen. That's my theory with the Hound, and then he'll still get to go south and have the Game Bowl.
I mean, how long have people been asking for that? At least 4 seasons, right?
Yeah.
It's got to happen.
There's no reason for Barrick to survive. But more importantly, if he just dies and doesn't resurrect anyone, that's kind of lame. Because it's what he's known for, man. You
Yeah.
know?
Well, what about Melisandre? Like, she left, but she already knows that she's going to die in Westeros. So she tells
I
Varys
like the theory.
at Dragonstone that she's what she said. She's like, well, I have to come back to die here, just like you will. And Varys is like, what?
She's seen the death. Her death is in Westeros. There's two things I like about. One is a theory that people have had that I kind of like, and it's that she shows up at the end of episode 3 or the beginning of episode 4 and resurrects a lot of people that have died. I don't really like that too much. I do like it as a theory because it's kind of like a oh shit moment, and it really kind of goes along with the prophecy of people fighting alongside Azor Ahai Reborn being resurrected.
What if, like,
but
all this stuff that we say, we assume that Azor Ahai, or the prince that was promised, needs to be revealed before all this happens. But what if he's not? What if, like, all this shit happens, but no one, you still don't fucking know who it is? What if the show ends and you never find out who it really is?
Yeah, I don't think so. I agree. I think it's going to be something where, like, Melisandre comes back and she's like, you are Azor Ahai. You defeated the Night King, blah, 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 whatever. And by then it's like, well, fucking over.
Yeah.
But I think her purpose, my theory on her purpose is to kind of come back, and I know the Onion Knight wants to kill her and all this stuff, and I guess from a writing perspective, she has to be redeemed somehow. But I think she also gives her life to resurrect someone. I don't know who it is. I don't have a theory on who it is.
That'd be kind of a cool moment, right? Like,
I don't think
the Night
Jon.
King does that thing where he pauses battle and just raises his hands and all the dead come back to life. Wouldn't that be kind of crazy if Melisandre does like the same thing with fire and they all like come back as not a white? Like, haha, bitch. Could do that too.
I don't think she'll be here in episode 3. I think she'll be episode 4 though. That's my theory. And she's
Well, it depends. It depends where they end episode 3. Is it just the battle and it's over, or is there a battle and then like some aftermath?
What if she resurrects the Onion Knight?
Who's the Onion Knight?
Fuck, what's his name? The smuggler.
Oh, Davos?
Davos, yeah.
Well, why? Why would she? He's a talker.
Well, okay, so he doesn't like her because
obviously
he convinced Stannis to burn Shireen. Now, we just had an episode where he saw a little girl that looked like Shireen with the fucking scar on the face and everything.
Yeah.
And it really got to him. You could see it got to him. So that's fresh in his mind right now. like it's like she goes away. Melisandre goes away to let it kind of get out of his system, and then she comes back right when he's had it in his mind again. Like, oof. I don't know. Maybe she comes back and resurrects the dragon. Who knows what she does. I don't know what she does. I don't like to do big theories like that, like resurrects a dragon.
Well, no, I was kind of more asking because a lot of people are still like, oh, Melisandre's coming back. It's like, but is she really necessary? Like, what's her purpose now?
She has
a storyline. Like, she took her necklace off and she was old, and like, but they never. Does it matter to the greater scheme?
The purpose
of
that is to show that she does have magic in her. She is definitely. This magic is real. Whatever magic she's employing, the god that she talks about may not be real, but the magic is. I think what she believes, I don't know if this is true or not, but I think what she believes is that she's Jon Snow's Nisa, that he has to kill her so that when he pulls the blade from her chest, it'll be ignited with flame. And maybe it's true. Maybe she'll be here in episode 3 and she's like, they're losing and they fall back to the castle and she's in there and she's like, you got to stab me in the heart.
Yeah. Well, what did they say in the prophecy about?
And then resurrected Clegane the Hound is like, they're just sitting there and John's like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And then Melisandre's like, you got to do it. And everybody's like, you got to do it, John. And then the hound
kill the bitch.
And then the hound's just like, fuck this shit, and grabs her and stabs her. And then he pulls the sword out. Yeah. I'd like it to be Jaime, but it doesn't line up with that. I do think that everybody that has a Valyrian sword are the heroes, and they're not going to die. I don't believe that.
So that would mean like Jaime, Arya,
Brenna of Tarth,
Brienne.
Yeah, Jon Snow, and Jorah Mormont all survive. That's my theory.
So who are the big deaths? Who are you? I mean, there's going to be a lot of death. We know that, and there's going to be some side characters.
I think there's not going to be a lot of death. I think people are expecting a lot of death, but I don't think there is. I think maybe a dragon dies in the process of killing another dragon. Maybe a dragon dies. There's writing in the book where George talks about when there were dragons, and back in the day where there were a lot of dragons, they would typically fight each other, and you'd see them, clashing in the air and falling to the ground. And sometimes the riders would survive, most of the time not.
Well, here, I'm going to give you, this is my 75% theory. I'm 75% sure this will happen, and I don't want it to happen, but I'm going to say it. I think the Night King's dragon's going to show up, and Dany's going to try to pull some, he'll remember me. There's no way, right? And he totally doesn't. He totally burns her with fire. And she's standing there like, I can't be burned, but this is blue fire, right? It's Night King fire. And she actually fucking burns.
I don't know, man. I don't think she's gonna. Listen. I'll tell you 100%. I can almost guarantee you that Daenerys is going to survive, and Jon Snow as well. Almost can guarantee you. I think I said this already. There's a scene in the trailers that we have not seen yet, where she's at Dragonstone in some black clothing, like the type of shit she wears at Dragonstone, and John's standing behind her, looking like they're not getting along right now, and she's just looking at this fire. At a fire, like on a hearth, and then he just kind of steps out of scene. Like, we have not seen that yet. That's at Dragonstone. I don't know if that was a fuck up on their part or a fake scene. It could have been a fake scene, but it's not very likely that it's fake. It's very likely.
You sure it's Dragonstone?
Slip that in there and hope that people don't remember. Yeah, it's absolutely Dragonstone. People have already connected it to Dragonstone with like similar scenes and shit like that. But if you look at the promotion for the next episode, she's wearing that white furry shit when they're standing out there watching over the battle. So,
yeah.
I think Beric dies, and that's kind of a big death. And I think the Hound dies, and Beric doesn't immediately resurrect him, and people think, my God, the Hound's dead. That's a big death for people.
Clegane Bowl now.
Even Clegane being dead for like 10 minutes on screen time is gonna affect a lot of people, and then Beric.
They're gonna put in some fucking fourth wall breaking shit. Was like, what was it like being dead? It's like, it felt like an eternity, right? And people are gonna be like, yeah, it did. It felt like an eternity. It was only 10 minutes, but fuck.
I think Grey Worm absolutely dies. He's been promising Missandei this shit. I think Missandei dies as well. Maybe. Yeah, I'm on the fence with her. But I think Grey Worm dies. We know that they get into the walls, and Arya is running from something that people have looked at now. It looks like an unsullied soldier that might be undead. So I think that's one of those moments where a lot of people have died and they've retreated, and they feel like they're safe behind the walls, but then he starts resurrecting people that have died behind the walls and shit of wounds or whatever.
I don't know. Like, I never really got the whole Grey Worm storyline. Like, he was a slave, and then he was freed, and then he decided to keep fighting for Dany. But, like, the only thing that's changed with him is that now he has some agency over his life. But he's still doing the same shit he's always done. Yeah.
I think those are really some of your big deaths right there. I think maybe Podrick might die. That's very possible. Although I still like the idea that everybody that was in that hearth room there with Tyrion, when they said we're survivors, I think all of those people survive. So I don't think it's going to be as many big deaths as people think it is. I think Gendry dies, maybe, because, that That could be a big moment for Arya where Gendry. She just
is
had
that
this
what she's running from? People always assume she looks scared.
Exactly. Maybe she just doesn't want to kill the guy that she just kind of started falling for or something. Who knows? I think it's very possible that Gendry dies. Because I don't see any use for him.
Yeah, but he made all the weapons. And
now people say things like, yeah, but his character arc hasn't come full circle. Like, this isn't Walking Dead where they complete character arcs before they kill people. What was Ned Stark's character arc? What the fuck was Robb Stark's character arc? Like, people die regardless of character arc all the time.
And it's something that, kind of reflects real life. Is sometimes, a lot of times, people die and there's no fucking closure. And it's like, man, what a fucking shame. And that's the only way that death is impactful, really. Otherwise, it's just like, yeah, well, at least he got the happy ending. Like, no, it's not how it works here. And, we've been through a lot of show with not a whole lot of death. I mean, all of season 7, who died? Like, Littlefinger. That's it. Like, it's been a while.
Exactly. Now, there have been leaked pictures of the show. So from this point, we'll talk about leaked shit in terms of pictures that weren't supposed to be out or pictures that people have like lightened up and stuff. We have Jon Snow on the ground and he's not wearing his cloak anymore. He's wearing like just the leather underneath, which isn't really armor or anything like that, which would lead me to believe he's maybe fallen off of the dragon or something. The dragon been grounded or something. And he looks like, the look on his face is like he's seeing something he's never seen before. Like he's wide-eyed with his mouth agape a little bit. And there's fire around him. We also see there's a shot of, we know they're going to like fall back behind some shit. We also see there's a shot of the Unsullied just standing there, and in the background is a dragon flying. I don't know if that's, the Night King, or if that, because it's just one dragon by itself, or I don't know if that's just like the tail end of maybe both dragons flying off in the distance or something like that. I don't know. Jon and Daenerys, there's a scene where they're standing overwatching the army. Maybe they're just there with the dragons, just waiting. I don't fucking know.
Yeah,
I think there's a scene with Theon that was leaked where he's got like a bow and he's drawn it back and it's got a flaming arrow on it. So definitely people get into the God's Wood if that's the case. And there's a scene with Jon fighting, and there's fire. There's like smoke and fire like around. You can't see the fire, but it's like that hazy red, orangish shit they do with the smoke. And he's fighting, and he's got the same. The outfit's the same, and he's got his sword branded, but you can see trees. Like, I don't know if that's the Weirwood he's fighting next to, the God's Wood, if he's in the God's Wood, or if that's maybe he's out in a forest or something. Like maybe he went after the Night King. I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work. And there's all the other scenes like Tyrion underneath the thing talking to Varys. But they also have like worried looks on their faces. I don't know if that's just from them seeing
they
shit.
should be worried all the time.
Right? For some reason, Daenerys and Jon definitely ride their dragons out. I don't know. I find it kind of corny, the idea that Jon would have a 1-to-1 with the Night King. I know people have been waiting for that, but it just seems weird. It doesn't.
How would he get there? Like, I just don't see the Night King being on the front lines. He's always just been chilling in the back. Like, how the fuck?
But even if the Night King does go to the God's Wood by himself or with a group of White Walkers, like, it just doesn't work in this show, in my opinion, to have the hero fight the villain. It doesn't connect in my mind as a thing. It doesn't work right. It's not one of those. I'm sorry. It just doesn't work for me. It's one of those things where, yes, Jon is a hero, but this is not a fantasy thing where we're supposed to sit here and be like, oh, the hero fights the bad guy in the final act. And, it's a sword clashing thing. And it comes to an end where the hero gets the win. Like, that just doesn't feel right to me for Game of Thrones. It feels more like Bran is the person that brings them down. Like the cripple, right?
Yeah.
I don't
It would
know.
have to be like a battle of the minds, though, and he's never really been able to do anything. Like he just kind of gets close. The Night King looks at him, and then he's like, "Whoa!" and fucking has to back out of it.
Right. Exactly. I mean, I agree 100%. Yeah, I mean that's all I got for the show. I mean, I don't know of any other character deaths. It's certainly true that you could have, you can absolutely have a big character like Jorah die, and then they have like some kind of fucking scene where it's just his Valyrian sword in the snow or something. I don't like the idea of that because it's one of those situations where if the Valyrian steel sword gets just disposed of, like one of these house swords of Valyrian steel is just going to get disposed of on a battlefield in the snow. Is that what's going to happen? Right? It doesn't make any sense to me because these swords are very important against the Night King. So if the Night King wins, I can't see if the Night King loses, I can see Jorah Mormont maybe dying, somebody like that, because then the sword can be collected. If the Night King wins, I don't think so. I don't think you could do that. I mean, maybe. The only way I could see that being possible is like maybe Jorah dies or something, and then like the Night King walks over and picks up his Valyrian steel sword, and then it catches on fire. As her eye. I mean, we know Winterfell burns to some degree. I mean, it's a fucking stone castle. There were like pictures released early on during production of not just Winterfell having fire all around it, but also King's Landing was like the front gate was in rubble. So what does that mean? I mean,
well, there's going to be a battle there. Like if it's this episode or episodes,
it's 5. Either the living go there or the dead go there, right? So if the dead, that's really one of two ways this show can go. The Night King is defeated in Winterfell, but Winterfell kind of suffers because of it, and has to be rebuilt and isn't that strong. And now they have this, and then they march south with an army. But that kind of lessens the Night King. It kind of chumpifies the Night King. If the Night King shows up to Winterfell and they hold him off and they still have an army to go fight Cersei's army in the south, not really that. The Night King becomes a chump in that regard. Like, no real danger.
Well,
what's likely to happen is the Night King succeeds and they don't defeat him, because this is going with the classic hero thing. We have to defeat the Night King, and then all of his army will stop and fall. That is that's not up George Martin's fucking thing, man. George Martin has said he tries to write realistically. That's not, realistically speaking, what would likely happen in real life, right? They wouldn't succeed. They'd almost succeed, but they wouldn't, and then it'd be over. And then the Night King have to flee.
Isn't an idiot and knows that the whole brand being out in the open is a trap. And then, like, here's the thing, though. Like, the Night King made all the other White Walkers, right? So you kill a White Walker and everything they created dies. But if you kill the Night King, do all the other White Walkers die too? Because he created them?
I don't know. That's just their theory. That's what they're hoping for. I think personally the Night King wins. They don't succeed at killing the Night King. A lot of nobodies die. A couple of medium/big characters die. There's a couple surprises, but most of the characters people care about escape to Dragonstone. They get on a boat and go to Cersei and try to convince her that the dead are coming and that they lost. She tries to exert power over them, but they're not stupid, of course. They're not just going to walk right into the Red Keep unarmed. They're like, they have their fleet out there or whatever, or the Iron, or whatever. They have their shit there, and then the Night King attacks King's Landing. And then I think King's Landing gets burned to the ground by the Night King and his army, and that's when they finally succeed, having learned something else. I think episode 4 is all of us kind of learning the real way to defeat the Night King through Bran or whatever, and that happens. And then episode 5 is a battle that's taking place, but it's mostly off screen and not really being, or maybe episode 4, it's like it's a battle happening with the Golden Company and the undead, but we're not focused on that. We're focused on the politics behind the scenes with Cersei and Jon and Daenerys and all these things going on. Although I don't think it'll be episode 4, it'll be episode 5, because episode 4 will be them getting to King's Landing. It'll be the kind of the filler between that, the setup for it. And then the end of episode 5 is like halfway to a third of the way, or sorry, 2/3 of the way through. The Night King dies and it falls, and then problems are resolved through the last bits of episode 5 and into episode 6, and then we come to our conclusion. That's where my biggest bet for the show going. I mean, that's a big giant fucking leap though. Like a lot of that.
I just hope that they found a way to close up all the loose ends, whether it's through someone dying or. They did say it would be a satisfying ending. About it.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to close up all the loose ends on every character. Man, it would be a shame if the Night King dies in episode 3. I really think so, because we've barely got to see this character in action. Barely. He's thrown a spear and cut an old man attached to a tree in half. That's really all we've got to see with him.
Yeah.
if he dies in this episode, I don't know, man. It's it would be kind of rough.
I don't think you will. They might win the battle, but I don't think the Night King is going anywhere. Not yet.
He'll retreat north.
Not even retreat, maybe just a tactical advance, like, well, why are we even here again? Like, they're pretty much done. I'll just leave my fucking subordinates and I'll just keep moving along with my dragon.
I definitely don't like this idea that he's going to just go to King's Landing. He doesn't give a fuck about the Iron Throne. He's not going to. That's not a thing that he's going to do.
Well, he wouldn't be going for the Iron Throne, but maybe it's just a tactical thing. If his mission is to wipe out the world of men, right? Like, that would be the unexpected thing to do. There's no army there, right? The Golden Company went north.
I don't know. We don't know that the Golden Company went north. Is there a scene where that happens?
Well, no, but I thought they talk about it and say like they're gonna go and.
No, that's what we assumed.
Well, even if they're still there, even more reason to go and wipe them out, right? Because you got 90% of your army fighting in the north, still outnumbering them, right? If Bran chilling out in the gods was like, hey, where'd the Night King go? And the Night King takes like a handful of people, burns down King's Landing with a dragon, kills the fucking Golden Company. And now what? Now whoever's left at Winterfell's fucked.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I can't get behind that one because it just seems weird that he would just do that for no reason.
I think it's weird we haven't seen him. I don't know where they're going with that.
Well, we've only seen his army just get there.
And yeah, and where is he? Like, he has a dragon. He's not hard to miss. Like, I just have to assume that if they show the army, the whole army presumably, and you don't see him on a dragon, where the fuck is he?
Maybe he's just in the back. Chilling in the back.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll find out in 4 hours.
Yeah.
I thought there was something else. I'm trying to think. Well, I guess they're kind of just Yara's chilling with a handful of people in the Iron Islands. Like, hey, what's Euron doing though? He left, right?
No, he's fucking the queen.
Well, he fucked the queen. Now he's gonna peace out, right?
No.
You don't think so? You don't think he's gonna go and be like, oh shit?
No,
Iron Islands time.
I think he's going to be the commander of the ships, like the all that shit. He still has to be killed. See, that's what I mean by. That's why I'm saying I'm afraid of shit, because I'm afraid they're going to kill the Night King and all the undead shit's going to be resolved and over with in a single fucking episode. And then they're going to turn south and have all these problems to deal with characters like Euron that have to die at the hands of, I don't know, Yara? See, it's why I feel like Theon's going to die, but then Theon should be the one to kill Euron. I don't know. It's really rough. It's a really difficult thing that they could take in any direction. But it's like we said, you know, Theon should be the one to kill Euron, but that's not the way this show goes. Should have been Arya that killed Joffrey, right? But that's not the way the show goes. Some old bitch did it.
Yeah, but she did a pretty good job.
Yeah, but who the fuck was she? Like, nobody fucking... like, she didn't have anything to do with Ned Stark or anything. She was just protecting her daughter from a piece of shit. Yeah, I don't but at the same time, if the Night King wins, then Euron could finally be like, you know, you could have that moment where Euron's like, he's been so fucking not scared this whole time. I'll just sail to the east. But now that he gets a glimpse of him, he's like, shit. Just this fucking crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be intense. I'm just hoping that they don't pull some shit where the episode ends before the battle's over and we see the last 10 minutes of the battle in the next fucking episode.
Oh, yeah.
I want to see the battle at least concluded in the next episode setup before this is over.
Yeah, you have to conclude the battle and then have like 10 minutes of characters looking around recovering or something.
Yeah. And I mean, that's an hour and a half. So I know they said the whole thing is going to be a battle, but let's face it, like, you get battle fatigue after a while, you know? Like, how are they going to do this? Are they going to show pockets of battle and move between the different characters? Kind of like, oh, fuck.
I think they're going to break it up with Bran vision and shit like that. Might get some action on Pycelle, or not Pycelle, but Qyburn coming up with a way to resurrect undead or some shit on command. That'd be cool. I still think he's going to go that route. Qyburn becomes the next Night King. There must always be a Night King.
Yeah. Undead army versus undead army. Undead Clegane Bowl.
That would be bittersweet. There must always be a Night King. Well, I guess Jon's going to be it.
The king in the north.
The king in the north.
Like, all the way north. You know what I'm saying?
Super duper north.
North of north.
See, that's the kind of stuff I like about stories. Like, I want to know what's even further north. I want to know, like, what's way out there. That's what I love about WoW expansions for World of Warcraft, is like, they just keep adding stuff and answering questions typically. Like,
well, I mean, Westeros is mapped out, right? So,
oh no,
eventually it's just ocean.
Just Westeros and Essos. Like, if you look at the map, there's areas where the land just stops, but it still goes, you know, like, it visibly it stops. Like, if you look up a map of what's the name of the planet? But even if you look at Westeros's map, it just keeps going north.
Is there a decent fucking map here?
Here, I got one here. I'll link to you.
Oh, I got one from HBO. Okay.
So you can see Westeros is a bigger landmass with what we currently see. And then there's the north, and then it just cuts off, right? It just presumably keeps fucking going.
Oh, yeah. There's Castle Black, the wall. There's actually not that big up there.
Yeah. That's what's known by the people. Like, our maps are what's known by the people. It's based off of activity in the show. So, not in the show, but also the books. George only really put together a map based off of where activity is. Even in Essos, if you look at Essos, you really just have the cities on the coast and a little bit of stuff on the inside. There's presumably a giant amount of land that way. There's actually another map that shows that.
I don't know which one you're looking
Yeah, it's well, I don't know which. It's the one from HBO. Viewer's Guide, HBO.com, Game of Thrones. Season 4, episode 10. No. Season 8, episode 2. I want the most recent. Oh, well, that's not a map. I guess season 4, episode 10 is the last time they updated the fucking map. I guess we saw everything we were going to see.
Well, they can only put the map so big based off of. Yeah, okay, so.
I mean, just in terms of like filling out cities.
Is the known, this is straight up the known map right here. So beyond Castle Black, that's all we know about the North. Even from the books. That's as far north as we know about. And the Night King his shit is actually up there a bit. There's some scenes where it talks about it, but nothing beyond that. And then if you look at Essos, which if you look down at Sunspear, that's where the land bridge used to be. So it was originally one continent before the Children of the Forest destroyed it to stop the men from coming over, but it was too late. But even with Essos, you can see there's another landmass down there in the southeast. And then in the northeast, it kind of goes out a bit more back past Vastath Rock. So, I mean, this is the same thing with World of Warcraft, right? This is basically North America and South America in terms of just where it is on a globe.
Yeah.
And one of the things like Metzen would say typically about World of Warcraft is, I wish they would have never put it on a globe, because if you look at World of Warcraft, it doesn't fit on a globe. It's supposed to be one side of the planet. So they'll have to update all their fucking globes at some point. But I think it's the same here with Westeros and Essos. It's just one side of the planet.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing with Elder Scrolls. They never show a whole planet, but
with Nirn, yeah.
Yeah, and there's like apparently a whole other continent that's like the mirror, the negative mirror image of.
That's kind of cool. See, that kind of shit is cool.
They never fucking go there though.
Yeah, that's because
they're fucking lame. Akavir and shit that you hear about, like, and even there's even shit in God, what's the name of the fucking continent? Tamriel. That's from Akavir, like Akaviri swords and shit. You pick them up all the time, and armor, and it looks kind of Eastern looking, Eastern inspired.
Look at memes.
Yeah, I saw that one. I was looking for one, I couldn't find it, but it was called Littlefinger Returns, and it's the scene of Euron being like, "You like a little finger in the bum, right?" And then like in the back, you just see like a little speck of light, and then it like zooms in, and it's just Littlefinger's face with that little grin, like half in the shadow.
Oh God.
Yeah, so I didn't know Dragonstone was so close to King's Landing, but yeah, you can make that flight in like a day,
Yeah.
It's a very poor sense of scale, Because even if you look at like where Bravos is, that's pretty fucking close to King's Landing.
Well, I mean, that's a lot of fucking distance, actually. You really...
It's further from King's Landing to Winterfell than King's Landing to Bravos. That's like half a day's dragon flight. I mean...
Yeah, I mean, you really get a sense of where King's Landing is on this map. Dragonstone's right near it.
Yeah.
So they got a long ways to go to get to Dragonstone when they escape.
Where's the Iron Islands?
Pike.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah.
So how are they gonna fucking retreat from Winterfell to the Iron Islands?
I don't know, man.
All the way to the fucking coast and then take a boat? Like, come on.
Yeah. Dreadfort is the Boltons. Last Hearth. I mean, the map here is.
I don't even see Last Hearth on this.
You got to zoom in a little bit near the gift.
Oh, yeah. There's some more shit. Okay. It just seems weird that, like, I think you're right. Like, the Night King has got to be coming for Bran. Because if you look, they go from the Wall to Last Hearth like they could have just kept going straight south and bypassed Winterfell completely and just spread out. Like, even if,
Like
you know,
fucking-
like you said,
like
it
a
doesn't make
virus.
sense for them to go to King's Landing because they don't give a fuck about the Iron Throne. But you think it would be a tactical advantage to like kind of like swoop around and surround Winterfell, but instead it seems like they're just kind of coming from the north.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's what they're going to do, is they're going to hit Winterfell and probably defeat it, and they're going to have to retreat. The show does a really bad job. I mean, they'll just be at Dragonstone. Like, it'll just, despite how far away, they'll just be at Dragonstone. That's one of the things a lot of people have a problem with the show, is how quickly people get around.
I mean, I'm okay with it because it took so fucking long for the first 6 seasons, you know? Everything that happened was like...
I want shit to happen quickly. You don't have to tell me that time has passed. Whatever. I'll just...
It would have been half a season of fucking people traveling, you know?
Yeah.
Treat it like D&D, where it fucking takes 2 hours for 10 minutes of gameplay, but traveling for a week takes 30 seconds. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I just think it's weird how they shifted from that, you know? I think I said it in another podcast, but with all this shit about, oh, we got to go to Dragonstone and get the, have Daenerys give us the dragon glass, and that if this show would have continued another 4 seasons, we'd still be dealing with that. Like, they'd be getting to Dragonstone right about now. There would have been fucking side stories with side characters on the road to fucking Dragonstone, you know?
When you think about like real-time travel, you know, Daenerys went from Marine, which is all the way in the southeast near
In Karth. She was in Karth for a while, right? That's like as far out as it gets.
She sailed from Marine to Dragonstone, and it was like the end of a season and then the start of a season. So, you know, that would take like a year to make that distance. Maybe not a year, maybe months of time. Like, how much time does it take to sail in a fucking sailboat? Like a classic ship with sails from like England to Washington. Like England to Virginia or something. It's got to be months, right?
Yeah, well.
Maybe
it's
weeks.
Probably, it's definitely months. I mean, people did it. Go look up, like, how long did it take, you know?
So this
Ferdinand Magellan.
So this would have taken, by the way, that's Valyria right there, which is just like fucking volcanoes and shit. That's where dragons come from. And most of it's destroyed because I like the way the story works with this shit. So Daenerys' family lived on Dragonstone, the Targaryens. Back then, the Valyrians were kind of spread out a little bit. And then most of the Valyrians were in Valyria, except for her family that was like exiled or something to Dragonstone. So Valyria explodes, like the volcanoes go off and kill all of the Valyrians and the dragons, at least most of them. And the only fucking people with dragons left are the fucking Targaryens. And for some reason, they're like, you know what? Fuck it. We're going to fly down to King's Landing and take this shit. And then everybody's going to bend the fucking knee to us.
Yeah, they're pretty fucking close.
It's really weird when you look at Dragonstone and go, oh, okay. That's where they were. You really... it's really a weird location. It should definitely... It's one of those things where Martin was probably writing it and later on was like, should have put that. Look, that's where little...
The inn at the crossroads. Yeah, they're going to pass right by the cross. Like, House Hot Pie on the rise.
Yeah. I'm telling you. If you look at the Vale of Arryn, the little like tendrils of land coming off right there are known as the Fingers. And that's where Littlefinger's family's from. That's why it's called Littlefinger.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with two in the pink, one in the stink.
He was kind of the one in the stink the whole fucking season, or the whole series. So.
But again, here's the issue. If the Night King wins, you're gonna... How many fucking episodes can you have where they're traveling south?
None.
Running from the Night King.
It's gonna happen between episodes. It has to.
It has to. Because you can't have, god damn, you can't have episode 6 like, we did it! Like, you can't do that. You gotta have closure. You gotta have people up in the north going, well, we're gonna have to rebuild Winterfell. Yeah, it's gonna be long. But, you know, You'll do great. You are the Lady of Winterfell. Thanks,
Yeah.
John. I'm going to go back to the King's Landing now. See you later. Okay, see you later, John. It's Aegon. Okay.
Yeah, that's not my name anymore. What's he gonna go by when it all comes out?
Probably
When everyone
Aegon
knows.
Targaryen. I think he'll embrace it. Like he's been looking in the crypts at his mom and stuff. I think he'll embrace it. Yeah, I think he's also. I think he's gonna get stories from Dany about his father and shit like that. He's gonna want to know about his father.
Well, she doesn't know. She still
I think
thinks
he'll
that
still look at Ned Stark as the father. She doesn't know what.
she thinks that Rhaegar was a rapist still. Right? Like John had to tell her.
He told her right there. Yeah.
I don't know what kind of information he's gonna get from her, but how do you?
Well, I mean, she has stories that she talks about in the beginning of the show with Walking with Jorah about her brother.
All right. Well, interesting stuff. We'll have a lot to talk about next Sunday.
Presumably, or maybe nothing at all. You know.
Yeah. What if it's
What if it sucks?
what if everyone dies this episode and it's just like, psych, only 3 episodes. The ultimate twist ending. They won't do that. Of course they won't do that. But hey, remember when we said we had a lot to talk about? Turns out we don't really. Night King won. And that's the end of it. Bum, 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 bum.
I think it's weird because I feel like a lot of people are expecting big character deaths here, and I don't think you're going to get any.
Well, do you think it's going to be quantity over quality, right? Like a bunch of side characters will die, or they'll just tell you that a lot of people have died that you never met.
There'll be a bunch of side characters, and certainly characters people like. Like I don't give a fuck about Grey Worm, but there's people out there that like Grey Worm and whatever.
Miss Sandy.
They're fucking. Oh, they're so cute together. They're gonna die.
They're gonna die together. Take some consolation in that, I guess.
You know, characters like Lyanna Mormont. Like, who fucking cares? This kid is fucking savage. Yeah, I don't care.
She can't fight. I mean, I like her as a character, but like, she's not gonna do anything on a battlefield.
Yeah, it's whatever when
they're gonna show her being badass. She'll take out a couple whites, and then she's gonna eat it hard.
She ain't gonna take out no fucking body, dude. There's no way.
All right, well, you got anything else you'd like to put on record that you guessed right, so you can say you guessed right next week?
I guessed right that Trump was going to be president. Fuck off. Come at me. I'll tell you who wins 2020 as well. It's going to be Trump. Deal with it.
All right. Well, then we'll wrap it up. Thanks for listening, everyone. I'm the Night Terror. You can find me on twitch.tv/The Night Terror.
Who?
Okay. Yeah. Exactly.
That's Katie for short.
Don't. I'm not entertaining that. It's not happening. You could shorten it to TK, but I'm not gonna go as Katie ever.
Just T. It's KT, man. Jesus.
No.
Just embrace.
No. No. All right. You can also find me on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube.
A lady. I'm the Gabller. You can find me on twitch.tv/The Gabller, where it's going to be like that forever. I don't give a fuck how many of you people come around. Okay.
What do you mean, you people?
Come to my stream and watch me play games. Fucking join the Cuck Squad. I'm vote Gabller as Twitch CEO. We're going to make Twitch great again.
I mean, they don't elect people to that, but sure, yeah.
Well, you can vote me as CEO if I have the most subscribers on Twitch and the most views and the most follows and all that shit. Like the PewDiePie of Twitch. You know, then I'll have some clout. And unlike PewDiePie, I'll throw my fucking dick around. You know what I mean? I will walk into a table. Listen, I will walk into a courtroom with 6 fucking lawyers and my millions of dollars can afford me. versus Twitch and drop my dick on the table when they try to fucking do some shit like that and infringe on my rights.
Yeah,
Okay?
and he'll fucking live stream it too.
I'm American.
And that's all we got for this week. Watch Game of Thrones, because we're going to be talking about it for the next couple weeks. And if you like Sekiro, play Dark Souls 3 instead. That's all I got.
Yeah.
We'll be back next Sunday. Thanks for listening. This is Electronic Gaming Mostly. Later.